Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. You'll see a couple changes, working on a logo, and I thought I'd bring you another morsel for the mind. This week I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Skink Starseer. The Skink Starseer is a pretty interesting character in the Seraphon army. It is not something that I ever considered using before. I really like the Skink Star Priest as a wizard. He's just a pretty cheap on-foot character. And then if you're going to go, ramp up, most people would use a Slann. But the Skink Starseer kind of feels a weird in-between spot. He's not a Slann, but he's definitely not the Skink Star Priest. And none of the Saurus characters really come in between that. So I think this one is really interesting, and the new General's Handbook really brings that to light. The reason I say I find him really interesting is if you just take a look at his stat line, it's a little different than most skinks. He's not as fast with 5-inch move. 4 save, though, is a lot different because most skink heroes are like 5s or 6s. 5 wounds, pretty good. And then in general, being a wizard, and he is able to fly, which is also really amazing. But I think what really makes him unique, and why I've started to include him into my armies, is that the Skink Starseer actually has a really cool ability and then a really useful spell that goes on top of that. So looking here at the abilities, it says, in your hero phase, a Skink Starseer can attempt to scry the future. Both you and your opponent secretly place a dice to show off any number, then reveal it. You gain as many insights as the number on your dice. However, if your opponent's dice shows the same number, the Starseer misreads the portents that are revealed and your opponent gains the insights instead. Each insight can be used to re-roll any dice before your next hero phase. That is an amazing skill. And the reason I say it's amazing is because the whole ability to teleport your troops, on a 1, they do nothing. And on a 2 through 5, they go across the board. And on a 6, they get to move. The ability to reroll that roll is game-changing. A lot of people talking about the Slann and, with Croak and being able to reroll it. Also, that a Slann is able to sometimes get the 2 if you take the right command ability to be able to take 2 as 2 times the teleport, which is good. But I think the fact that this is reliable makes it even better. On top of that, his spell allows you to increase or decrease the result of a single dice roll for that unit by 1. If you think about that spell, and you're doing this all in the hero phase, you do your scrying the future in your hero phase, you do your spells in the future in the hero phase, and you do the teleportation move. Think about that for a minute. He can then use the scry as long as you beat your opponent, and that's just a little bit of mind game. I'd love to do another video on talking about that. And then on top of that, you put the spell on who you're going to transport, and then transport them across the board. And the reason I say put the spell on them is think about the fact that you roll a dice. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On a 1, you can just add 1 to their roll for that teleportation, and it should go up to a 2. So automatically they passed. Or even better, on a 5+, you get the results of a 6. Because on a 5, you would be able to add 1 to the roll and make it a 6. Which is amazing for that ability. Now, that is granted that they'd actually work together. They might put out an FAQ or something that says they don't work together. But it says to any dice roll, right there, it says you can increase or decrease the result of a single dice roll for that unit by 1. That is ambiguous. A single dice roll would be their teleportation, unless they mean that has to do with like to hits and saves. I mean, that's what they wrote it as written would say that you could do it. Even better, though, is the fact that it can be in the Heaven's Watch Star Host. Now, that I've said this before, I think this is a really good battalion because it gives you the ability to take a general as well as some heroes, a bunch of heroes, and your battle line. And the simple fact that the Starseer is, I think, important or a must-take unless you're taking a Slann in any, in any Seraphon army. then you should consider this. Because I know you're out there thinking, you're going to take 2 full groups of skinks, you're going to take the Starseer, so why wouldn't you give them the ability? Also, if you're taking a Bastiladon, it fills those roles. Think about that. You can take 3 to 6 units, 2 Bastiladons, 2 units of skinks, maybe 3 units of skinks, and then you're going to need the Star Priests, or you could just do a Troglodon or just a regular Skink Priest and fill out that entire battalion, and there's your army. I, on one hand, actually take it in conjunction with another battalion. I'm really partial to the Fire Lance host, and I like to take it in conjunction to that. I think they really work well together. The fact that the Fire Lance battalion really helps with, I think, mortal wound output. This is the other side of it that makes you better at doing what Seraphon do best, and that's evaporating the thin air and appear somewhere else on the board, and then giving you extra buffs with the Star Priests and your Skinks to hold objectives or to be, those skirmishers in the front. That is a win-win. Anyways, that really concludes this week on Morsels for Your Mind. Thanks.